My advice would be to gamify the content as much as possible. That's when I flew all the way back to the UK to introduce Indonesian food to Arsenal football legends.
There's still so much creativity that you can find niching down.
Your entire life is a journey, end of the day. The destination is death.
How much of the storytelling and the narrative building have you put into this that is now emerged into your success?
So I feel like whenever I make a video, I want to make it more fun, engaging somehow. And I call it story selling. So it's like you're almost like selling yourself. And just so you have some context, I started off being called Laurence Benson TikTok. So that would be my brand name. Then I created the Laurence verse because I didn't want to make it look like I'm in Indonesia. I wanted to be in this like metaverse world called the Laurence verse. And then from that developed to the Enak or Dinak show. And I feel like it is important having something associated with you that someone can recognize you on the street, or they can talk about online, or their friends. And was that like kind of a direction you're going with the question?
Yeah. Because I think that what could be valuable is just when folks are learning, or folks are just like wanting to start off and get into content. And I think there's so many perks that you have in this job that are like, this is awesome. You get to eat delicious food. I remember one of the times we first met, you were invited to some conference where you met Mrs. Indonesia 2023 or something like that. So there's a lot of incredible perks that come with this job outside of just the monetary gain. And so I think if there's folks who might be interested in starting some type of food content thing, is like how important, like what would the steps be if you were to give your advice?
My advice would be to gamify the content as much as possible. Make it an interactive game for your audience, and also have fun whilst you're doing it. Like I've started naming different things on my set. So for example, this mic could be Jerry. Hey guys, we're back here with Jerry. What's up? Or you could add like some goggly eyes to it, add some eyebrows, and it becomes a character. And people online can watch the content and feel invested and be part of the character. And then when they see you on the street, perhaps, it's like, how's Jerry doing in the studio? So you start gamifying, you start creating your own world. Yeah. And I think if you can do that, then your connection with your audiences gets far superior, it's far deeper. And then it can just lead to a world of endless possibilities.
Yeah.
Because as we were talking about earlier, we were talking about RuneScape, which used to be, I was one of the best. I would say I was one of the best players in the game for my level, and I had like a very niche account for my statistics. And I used to make YouTube videos back in 2010 about me playing the game. I'm not sure my friends mentioned that. I had a YouTube channel in 2010 of me playing the game, creating montage videos similar to like Call of Duty, and me doing live commentary videos of me playing the game. I had a clan I used to go around with, and we used to kill people in the wilderness. And so I was like creating this online character. I maximized his skills and only specific skills, not all of them. So my level was really low, but my account was extremely powerful. So people would watch my content and say, holy crap, how have you got these statistics? I was very involved in the forums in RuneScape. And so people would watch my YouTube videos, read my forum posts, my blog posts, and then would follow me in the game. So I feel like and then I quit that because my friends found out in 2012 before I went off to uni. And then I came back into the YouTube scene in 2020. Almost like with a similar sort of philosophy, you could say.
Yeah. It's so interesting that you could, because that really differentiates. There's more intrigue, and I'm curious what the attributes are that you focused on building for the character. But someone who's the absolute best, like archer, for example, or someone is maybe a little bit more interesting than someone who's best at everything, because the story is the same. They just beat everyone. But if there's someone who's only good at one skill like archery, it's like, okay, how is he going to attack this person in the wilderness? And then for people who don't know RuneScape, I grew up playing it as well.
Oh, did you play it as well?
Yeah.
No way. That's epic.
But the wilderness is essentially, it's an open game world where you can't attack other players unless it's in a specific place, which is the wilderness. So it's like a free for all when you're in there. So the novelty and the interest and intrigue that comes with it is like, oh, this guy's only got these specific things. And so then that's the thing that people would want to see, is like, how does that person respond in this conflict, that conflict? I imagine, is that kind of accurate?
100%.
Yeah.
It's like I was such a low level and no one could quite understand how I was able to achieve these statistics. Yeah. These like 99 range, 99 strength, 99 attack, but 1 defense, and like 32 prayer. So like, it doesn't make sense to anyone who doesn't follow RuneScape, but my levels was only like, it was level 62 or level 63 out of 128. So it was like half the level of any other account, but I could probably still take those accounts on if I wanted to do my own unique strategies. Then I'd have my own clan follow me as well. And it would like go to the wilderness, would kill random people. I'd be blitzing them, using my bow to attack them from distance. And I'd be hidden away in like behind the trees.
One of the things that I was reflecting on today when I came and joined your show is production is, and oftentimes from how I see it and how I felt it, is meant to be this kind of beautiful chaos. But at the same time, it's like this crazy chaos, but then everyone pauses to be able to record and do things like this. And what I noticed when you were recording and when we were doing this is it, to me, it was the first experience. So it felt like it was like the way we experience it for every single way, but for every single shoot that you've done. But you were telling me it wasn't. We went to a villa that was not the one that we were supposed to shoot in. They were out having another shoot. It was chaos there. You had injured your foot, so it added another component to it. You were quickly trying to find another way to go and film, another place to go and film. We found a villa next to it. We get there, then there's your team that comes at the wrong time, and we have to coordinate all these other components. And there's food getting delivered. There's other guests that are coming in and out of the house, and then all of that added with the potential investor who's sitting in a corner watching to see if he wants to invest.
He was a right hand man of investor and the main architect.
But still, he's someone who's assessing on whether or not he's like, okay, should I give this crazy fucking dude some money or not? But the beauty of it is it was still so well done, and it was just in how you navigated the beautiful chaos of getting the video done while kind of keeping a level head. How is it you've been able to build this strong mentality of, okay, hey, shit's gonna happen, but we're gonna keep going?
End of the day, it just comes down to experience. I've been doing this so long, but I know that things do go wrong.
Yeah.
But actually, that was a unique experience because this is the first time I've gone to a place to shoot, and there was another film shoot happening in the exact same place I was meant to be filming in. I just wish, I think I told you on the day, I just wish I had a videographer with me filming that process of me arriving to that villa, seeing the chaos, and just filming behind the scenes, because that's what audiences would also love to see. Not just like a polished version of like in a nice villa or in a studio. There's so much stuff behind it.
What does it take to get everyone to the table to film?
Exactly. And that's part of the fun. My favorite video I've made in the past, my favorite video of all time, I only posted 2 months ago. And that is when I flew all the way back to the UK to introduce Indonesian food to Arsenal football legends. And the reason why that was crazy is because I literally flew back just for that one shoot. They only told me like 24 hours in advance. I had to not just prepare food for these Arsenal football players, I had to prepare food for 50 other people. And to make it even worse, I can't even cook Indonesian food. So how was I meant to sort all this out together? So what I decided to do, I documented the very journey. I documented the pre-production, me calling up like the UK embassy in Indonesia, the Indonesian embassy in the UK, trying to sort people who could help me. Me calling a bunch of restaurants in London who can help provide the food for free of charge, by the way. Me trying to book flights back. Me trying to organize how am I going to get there. All this food, 100 packages of food I had. How was I going to do it? And I just documented the entire thing. And that was a video rather than the product, which is me serving the food. So the entire video is a process of me leading up to the point of me serving the food, which took up like 20 minutes of the video. And it was only 5 minutes of the end where we were actually eating it. And that's the fun part. The journey is always the most exciting part. It could be a business. It could be your entire life is a journey, end of the day. The destination is death, end of the day. So it's just about the journey. It's about the come up, which is a fun part. And like for me, the funnest part of my entire journey was getting to 1 million subscribers. Because that's been my North Star my entire life. And as soon as I got there, that's when I slightly lost motivation. I was like, okay, I've got it. I've got everything I wanted in life, and now what? And it's not just for me, but it's happened to so many other content creators I've met. So your question was about how do I manage to handle all of this? Just experience, end of the day. Just experience.
It's a fantastic story, and it's so cool because when you look at the content that you make, it's when you look at it on paper, you're like, oh, okay, foreigners eating food in Indonesia. It doesn't sound so appealing, but every single time you craft a narrative around this, and then this further emphasizes the point that you're saying of essentially document everything, especially in the entrepreneurial journey, because it is the journey, like you were saying, that makes the story itself. So it's so cool. No, I love hearing that, and then the death you mentioned of hitting 1 million subscribers is so interesting. I even experienced that when I hit 1,000 and got monetized on YouTube. I was like, what the fuck? Like it was so weird that it was so early on in the YouTube game that I felt discouraged and kind of lost in some sense. Thankfully, I kept going and have now found more momentum. But for those who have found themselves in this stage of burnout, which it sounds like it typically comes from both of our experiences and others, is when you hit something and you realize that it's not everything that you wanted it to be.
Yeah, when you hit a milestone, yeah.
How do you reinvent when that happens?
Getting new milestones. Literally find new milestones, find new goals, find your purpose, find what you're trying to achieve. And like, what am I trying to do with Indonesian food? What am I trying to do with Laurence Benson? And I do like with me, I've got, as we were talking about earlier, responsibility, is that I've almost got like this duty to put Indonesian food as the number 1 cuisine in the world.
And that's never ending. It's going to be always, because even if you get there, someone else is going to come for you and get at the top.
Exactly. So, and that's such a nice thing to have, because I've got this army of people all supporting the brand, all supporting Laurence Benson. Hey, together we can get to that top bit together. And it's not even about me. It's about the stories, about all the people in Indonesia who are all supporting each other. So yeah, one day Indonesian food will be the number 1 cuisine in the world, and that would be incredible.
That's amazing. So with that in mind, and going back into the multiple components that make up the Laurence verse, what do you think is more important in selection, the guest or the dish?
Neither. It's more about the story of the video. The best, when you say, what's your point? Are you measuring a metric on success, how successful a video is?
Yeah.
And what's your metric? Views?
I guess I'll default to you on what you would determine as success. There could be views, but it could be views or it could be engagement, I guess.
I mean, views comes with engagement. Yeah. Or the amount of money made from a video. What is a metric?
Let's do views, because that could be impact, and then money not necessarily, but views is impact.
Okay, sure. Yeah. So a good impact video is a video where a dish comes out, initial interaction was like, oh my God, I'm not eating that. That looks horrible. Disgusting, okay? And so that creates curiosity for the viewer. They're like, oh, okay, there's a dish here which they're not going to eat, but are they going to eat it? And then they start kind of like fiddling through it, like seeing what's inside, and like provides more intrigue, interest. And then suddenly they start eating it, and then they're not sure if they like it or not. So this is the most ideal video I'm creating right now. They eat it, they're not sure if they like it or not, but it's better than they thought. That's important. It's better than they thought. It's not like, ugh, disgusting, go away and go to the toilet, whatever. They enjoy it, or they're not sure. Then, if you mind, they kind of discuss with their friend, are you enjoying it or not? And they're like, I'm not sure if I'm liking it or not. Then they keep eating it. And then before I reveal whether they actually like it or not, this is when I introduce the story. I'm like, okay, this is why this dish is famous in Indonesia. This is the cultural relevance of it. This is why a lot of foreigners may not like it, but I'm wondering if you like it. And then they say whether they like it or not. And they say, hang on, the more I'm eating it, the more I like it. This is actually delicious. And then I start asking questions like, could it potentially be successful in their own countries? And I start asking questions like how it would, if this would do well in their own home countries, and then it leads to their ratings out of 10.
It's like the question of if it would do well in their home country.
Yeah, because then people like in Australia may watch a video and say, hang on, if this person likes the video, maybe I'll like. If this person likes this dish, maybe I'll like the dish. So I don't always ask that question, but I'm always trying to relate it back to their home country somehow. So yeah, that's kind of a narrative, basically for each dish. That would be like the best scenario.
So interesting. Yeah. So then I guess in that it sounds like it's hard to determine because there's so many factors of it. They work in cohesion with one another. But if it were to be the best, well, yeah, because it has to be a dish that individual doesn't like, but then they end up enjoying. So it could be neither essentially.
But the dish also has to be known by a lot of Indonesians to be able to watch the dish in the first place, which is a problem I come across now because I've tried so many dishes that now I'm trying to find new ways of introducing it to the guests. So it's like almost like reinventing your content, reinventing yourself. And you probably felt the same with your own podcast. Is like, how do you constantly develop it into new levels? So you've introduced like your interviews on the outside, going to prisons now, having like different themes. So yeah, you know, you're part of, you understand the journey. You can always reinvent and gamify the content.
It's really interesting because I keep hearing from folks like niche down, niche down, niche down, and niche down, which I also often find resistance to. And it sounds like you kind of had that a period as well when you went to the UK and wanted to broaden. But I guess there's still so much creativity that you can find within niching down, and it's just a matter of that constant reinvention.
Yeah. So actually, my dad, his number one advice was like, don't branch out. Keep your niche, Indonesian food, but you can play around with it in any way. Integrate it with like football, integrate it with history, integrate it with AI. Create your own storyline. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I'm creating my own Laurence Benson cuisine. So imagine there'll be 5 dishes that come out. 2 of them won't actually be Indonesian dishes. They'll be my own creations. Or there'll be creations influenced from Indonesian food, which we've tried before. And then I'll just come up with a brand new name for it. Chensu, which is like chendol mix of milk, because susu is milk in Indonesian. And it's like introducing these new dishes, but if the audience doesn't know about it, if it's real or not, for all the Indonesians watching it, they can see aspects of a dish which they recognize, and they are curious to see if they work together.
Yeah.
So that's like my next big step is creating Laurence Benson cuisine.
I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
It's so cool that it's around.
And creating a recipe book. If anyone wants to follow it, creating a recipe book so they can actually create Laurence Benson dishes.
Amazing.
Yeah.